What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Kearns podcast, where we talk all things business, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Today, we have somebody who's an influencer who's got a lot of things going on. Her name is Tiffany DaSilva. Tiffany, welcome to the show. Did I say your name correctly?
Yeah, that's perfect. It's a Brazilian last name, but we're here.
Do you speak Portuguese?
Yep, Portuguese, Spanish, and French, and English.
Wow, quite the overachiever. I like that. So we actually came in contact with you because you've got a huge social media presence. And I think I had seen your TikTok videos or your Instagram videos. I was like, this is somebody that I'm completely interested in talking to. And obviously you've got a really hectic schedule. It was super hard to get you in there. Tell me about who you are, where you're at, and how you got into social media, a little bit about your story.
Yeah, so my name is Tiffany, obviously. You guys probably know me as either the fashion guru, people pronounce it Tiffany, or Beauty and a Builder, which is my real estate, tiny house, home remodeling channel. And I kind of named it that as a funny story. I was just like, one thing doesn't have to do with the other. And I was like, how am I going to start, a channel to kind of incorporate both things? And I was like, nobody wants to watch makeup tutorials while building a house. That's physically irrelevant. So, I figured I'm a makeup artist. I do, fashion content and that kind of stuff. So Beauty and a Builder, it makes sense. So, a lot of people don't really take me seriously because of all that, but, that's beside the point. Hopefully I can prove myself one day enough to own my title in real estate investing and all that. But, yeah, so I have those two different channels. I do two different things. A lot of different things along with those things, but I don't film them, obviously. So yeah, I'm a busy bee, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and you were just mentioning right before the show that you also have your own flooring business.
Yeah, well, technically it's a family-owned thing, but with family issues and everything, it's just been trickling down onto my plate of responsibilities. So I've been kind of taking over and running that show. So this morning I had to, run around taking care of installers and, just clients doubting my expertise in the industry, which I think we'll talk about later. So
Yeah, let's actually talk about that. So you said you're originally from Brazil, or your parents are from Brazil?
Yep. So my parents are from Brazil. I'm originally from Connecticut. And then we moved down here to Florida about, I don't know, 10 years ago. So, I'm not that old. So only half my life has been spent in either place, but I've traveled quite a bit. So I guess you could say I have a wider understanding of, knowledge, I guess.
So Tiffany, so you're a young person. Obviously, that's very evident to me as I look at you, and not as you speak. As you speak, you sound very mature. You speak, it looks like 5 languages, which is super impressive. I'm obviously impressed by that. I'm a little giddy because I'm trying to just learn Spanish, and I'm like, geez, somebody who can learn 5 languages is definitely an overachiever, because that's, in my opinion, you could say it's easy, but anything like that is very hard. Where do you get your drive from?
Um, Honestly, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's my mom. She's always been, I mean, she came from Brazil and she has her own story to tell. And, it's very inspirational. And she kind of drilled that into my brain and my brother's brains as kids. So, just because you left a third world country and you came to this country and everything is all, great, you have money, you have a job, you can start your own business, you can really become anyone you want. So I think her coming here and just kind of never striving for less, didn't speak English, became top seller for multiple companies, that kind of stuff. So it's just, she was always an overachiever. So I think I just had to follow in those footsteps and kind of make my own path.
So let's talk about that path. So you talked about cosmetics being was that your first path, and then it became the building path? Can you go backwards a little bit and say how you got into that?
Yeah, of course. So I have always been the creative artsy person in the family, which my whole stream of line of family, everyone works in some sort of construction or business or, that kind of industry. So I was kind of the little oddball. I decided well, actually, I did school. I graduated with a 4-year scholarship to any Florida college. Chose not to take it. I went to esthetician school instead and graduated with my license to become a makeup artist full time. And, it was all great. I just didn't really see myself wanting to start another business per se in that realm of things, dealing with services. It's just very, let's just say I've seen the worst of the worst. So it just didn't seem like something I would be interested in, long term. So I just kind of figured, what's something I can kind of do for myself and take it as far as, retirement, hopefully, is the goal. So that's where I kind of started, doing videos. I have a background in video production and that kind of stuff as well. So I just kind of joined the two and, posted makeup tutorials, fashion stuff, all things that, all girls like and stuff that is, I guess, the most popular on the internet nowadays. You get free stuff from brands, who doesn't want that kind of good stuff. So, it's a girl's dream. Got persuaded with that. It wasn't easy. It took me 4 years, rather than just, overnight success like most people would assume it's like. And then, like I said, my whole family basically works in construction and all that stuff. So ever since I was a little girl, my parents would buy, remodel, flip houses, or buy, rent out houses. There was always some sort of remodel house process. Um, so it just, kind of, I guess, it inspired me to take that money I was making somewhere and put it into something a little more long term.
Right. Totally hear you there. So I guess one question, and you're a little froze on my screen. Oh, you just unfroze. So kind of to go
Yep.
backwards a little bit. So you said you got a 4-year scholarship to go to any Florida college. So you must
Yeah.
have been straight A's. Were you like valedictorian? How did that go?
Ooh, nothing like that actually. My high school career, as people call it, was actually kind of uncommon, I would say. I started freshman year, did, what we call as ACE classes. So it's a program from Cambridge, and they basically, help you kind of skip some steps and, go through college and get your degrees or whatever a lot faster. So I joined into that. I go, that's a backup plan in case nothing else goes right. Did freshman year, sophomore year was fine, A's and B's, occasionally a C. So nothing that nobody can not obtain, nothing too crazy. And
Right.
then junior year, I actually decided to leave high school. I came to work for my family business, which is the flooring store, like I mentioned. So I only did my ACE classes, so the classes that qualified for the scholarship during school. And I was probably, excuse me, at home by noon. So I would work the rest of the day. And I did online school, and then senior year, I just completely did online school. But since I kind of finished it fast, I technically didn't have a senior year. I just had to wait to graduate. Very complicated situation. But instead, I went to go live abroad in France for a while. And I will say I learned a lot more in that month in France than I ever did in high school. So that's
Wow.
my take on it.
That's totally inspiring. Like, so sounds like, it's kind of cool, like talking to a young person like yourself, because I got two twin 8.5-year-olds or almost 9-year-olds, and they're in construction sites and job sites. And I always wonder, like, is that going to get into their head? Are they going to pick some of that up? It sounds like, you're the future a little bit, because your parents, not that I immigrated from anywhere, I'm from the United States, but your parents came here, they worked super hard, still work super hard. And then you saw all of that. And so you knew that, like, that's the way to get ahead. And that's why you made a lot of mature decisions at a young age to just do those. Like, if I had to go back in time, I would never have gone to college. I definitely would be taking those classes that you're talking about, the ACE classes, so that I could get out of high school earlier. I didn't even know anything about that was available. So I think that's really good advice, because as I think about my kids getting older, I don't want them to spend all their time in school. I think that real world experience, like you just mentioned, going to France, is something that's going to change your mindset, change how you think, and change your view of the world. And can you talk a little bit about that trip to France and how that kind of changed? Or I guess you said it was super, you learned a lot.
Yeah, so it was, I think, a point in my life where I kind of just decided everything that it just kind of clicked for me. And I know a lot of people say that, and I didn't realize that it clicked when until like a few months later when I came back and I go, wow, that was the best time I ever had in my life. But not just because, it's France, it's amazing, but I think it was more just, well, I actually went with the intention to start YouTube. So I did vlogs there, I did all that stuff. And it really, I guess, forced me to make a habit of filming every day. It's more the discipline, I would say. So it trains you to have discipline. So yes, it was a trip. It was all fun. I actually went through a site called Workaway. So basically, you exchange your work and exchange for stay. So I was babysitting 5 days a week there. Fabulous family. They taught me a lot. And then on the weekends, I would take a bus, go to the next city over, travel. And my key here was to, vlog, make a vlog of every single place I visited. And that was my discipline. So I had to, make a routine, stick to it. And I guess that's just kind of how I do everything in life, is having discipline and, not stopping until it's done.
I like that. So is that when did you was that when you first got into social media, or when did you, because you got quite a few followers, and for our listening audience right now, we have a lot of people who are young, as young as you, some people who are, older, but they're all trying to get either into social media, into real estate investing, into business. What would you tell young people out there who are thinking about getting started in social media or thinking about getting started in a business, that some lessons that you've learned?
Yeah, I would say go for it. Honestly, those things, people say, oh, there's already so many influencers. There was, a viral video the other day from a very popular social media guru, I guess you could say, who said, is influencing dead. And it's kind of like asking yourself, is the internet dead? The internet's only growing. I mean, we've seen that. There's, I don't know how many $1 billion invested already. And by the time, 2030 is around and people come to be my age, there's going to be double that, triple that. So, it's never really going to stop. I think you have to kind of find your way to stand out, which sounds kind of cliche. But it's just the reality of it. Everybody needs to just kind of do their own thing. It sounds kind of cliche, but it took me a while to learn that, you can't just copy what everyone else is doing and post it on the internet. It may get you, a few views now, but long term, you have to really, nail in deep what your, I guess, aspirations are, because people will kind of relate to that.
So out of people who are following you, you said you have two socials. Are they across multiple platforms? Where's most of your following, and how's that broken up?
Yeah, so it's actually been a debate for, I think, since I started all my channels. Like I mentioned, Beauty and a Builder is my building, finance, like all that jazz. And then I also have my fashion, like makeup, girly things. So both of those are on TikTok. Those are my main platforms. One I think has 220K, which is Beauty and a Builder. That's my largest platform today. And then I also have my fashion TikTok, which has, I believe, 60K. So those are like my main sources. Totally different content, totally different audience. Everything is different. I think the only similarity between the two is that most of the followers are women, which I really like. And then Instagram is kind of, I just recently blew up on there, so I have about 20K. And then I'm starting to trickle into Pinterest and YouTube. So I have like about 1,000 on those, but nothing too, crazy or anything like that. But I would definitely say I, resonate a lot more with my TikTok audience, just because it's very much, it's a lot more hands-on, and it's just more of a friendly content vibe, I guess you could say.
Well, I know it's friendly, but I'm sure, like you, like me, like everybody else, you get some hate just from all these insecure people who are out there. How do you deal with all the hate?
Honestly, with my fashion TikTok, which is what I started beforehand, it was never really, people would hate on my outfits or on my makeup look, like, oh, that looks so ugly. That's fine. That's your opinion. I'm just posting a makeup tutorial or, an outfit that I really like. Not everyone's going to like wearing, sundresses or whatever. But
Right.
I think with real estate investing, you're kind of putting out your goals and aspirations, your opinions, things that you were taught growing up. So it's definitely a lot more internal, I would say. So it definitely hits a lot harder to home. I do get, people calling it daddy's money, or,
Oh yeah.
basically
Yeah. Hear
privilege
you.
or
I
whatever.
hear you there. I hear you there.
Yeah,
100%.
whatever you want to call it, which, I'm not going to lie. I have had, family help. My family's well off now. They started from literally ground zero, which I think a lot of people don't understand is, I'm second generation of a already great mindseted set of people. So, they just taught me everything that they learned through their lifetime. So I almost got a shortcut to life, or to retirement, or to investing, or however you want to consider it. So, I'm very thankful for it. Financially, I try to do most things on my own. So that's kind of, save up, work, invest. And that's kind of, how it goes. It's just a snowball. And one day it's compounding interest anyway. So it'll just keep going up. But, the hate kind of just fades away once you look at all you're doing and the people that you're inspiring.
Right. You could get caught up in the hate for sure. Like I used to get a little bit like defensive and stuff like that. And I would respond to these videos and I'm like, this guy just won. The minute I responded, they won, right? It's just easier to block and move on and just be like, I don't want to deal with a negative personality, unless of course that question or that hate can lead to a viral video. Can you talk about some of the things that what is like the tips for people who are trying to create viral videos that you would tell them, like as somebody who's a really big influencer with a lot of followers, what has helped you become viral? What has helped you grow influence? I know you mentioned consistency, and I'd like to hear a little bit about that. What's your schedule, and what do you think, steers the ship for what topics you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. If looked at my content schedule, they would probably think I'm a maniac. Like I said, I run three main platforms, I would say. So my fashion Instagram, my TikTok or my fashion TikTok, and my real estate investing TikTok. Those are my three main. I do want to branch out, but I would say I definitely need an assistant before I do that. So it's a lot because, if you want to go viral, it's not really, there is a recipe. I think if you keep doing the recipe, one video is going to pop off, but it's almost like somebody explained it very well to me once. It's like a gamble. Pretend you're in
Right.
Vegas and you're playing a slot machine. You know, the video might be great. It might have all of the ingredients to a viral video, but
Right.
if TikTok doesn't feel like it today, it's not going to happen, buddy. Like I've had a video and I actually did a few experiments trying to
Yeah.
post it, and I go, you know what, I'm going to post it again because I have nothing else to post. Video flopped, and it might be because it's a reposted video, but like I said, same concept and everything, and it just it's a gambling machine. But in terms of my week, it's definitely crazy. And like I mentioned, TikTok and Instagram take different content. TikTok is very talky, hands-on. You have to be like a best friend on FaceTime, which I love. And then Instagram is very much, what you would want your life to look like, which is not really my cup of tea. So I try to be a little more realistic on there. Obviously, it doesn't perform as well, but that's totally fine because I'm just doing my thing and, kind of keeping true to me. But I would say for somebody to do a viral video, it's really just the consistency. And like I
Right.
said, that sounds very cliche, but it's consistency and discipline. The discipline comes first because if you're not going to commit to whether it's one video a week or 10 videos a week or 15 like I think I do, or 20, however many, it really depends on you and how much you want it with that drive.
I think that's great advice. It definitely, and I totally agree with what you're saying, Tiffany, about like consistency, and also the fact that like you don't know what's going to pop off, right? Like you think you spend all this time on this video, and you're like, okay, this one is the one. I've got all these jump cuts, I've got all these cool things, I've got all the right call to actions, all the right hooks, everything, and then it's like, okay, I got 800 views on that video, and that's only because of my following. And then you go do something in a drive-through. Like I did one in a drive-through and I got 5.2 million views on it. And I was like, that was like a half effort. And so effort doesn't necessarily determine what's going to go viral. And neither does the quality of the video, because like you said, if TikTok decided to push it, because for whatever reason, whoever's controlling the strings of the puppet master out there, like it's going to pop off. If the more, and especially I found that if I use like trigger words like cheap, or Starbucks, or things that are just like people
Relevant.
identify with, like if I use the word cheap, I'm automatically associated as a slumlord, as some sort of like con artist, as something. So I try to use those words when I want something to pop off, because I know that those words are trigger words for a lot of people. Do you think
Yeah.
about that when you produce content?
I definitely think about that stuff, but I think the day, and like I said, mine wasn't like a overnight success. It was more like 4 years of sweat and hard work. So
Right.
I started at a really early age, and I always told myself, these are my boundaries. I would never go past them. And at the end of the day, you can, for example, I knew a video was going to go viral because people were going to have a very negative opinion about it. And that's great and all, if it's true to my opinion, I would never post anything that isn't 100% me. So, I'm not going to, I don't know, make an idea of something that I wouldn't naturally do because it just feels fake.
Right.
So I always just post, if it doesn't go viral, that's fine. My real audience gets to know the real me, and whoever, doesn't really, I guess, go with that, maybe next time, maybe the next viral video or whatever.
How have you dealt with being a young woman in business, and what things, I've got a young daughter and I've got sisters, and they're very women's rights and that sort of thing. And my attitude is that, you know, no matter what you can get ahead. There's a lot
You're
of
cutting a little
preconceived,
bit.
oh, sorry. No matter what your preconceived notions are, like about females and business and stuff like that, women are taking over the world, in my humble opinion, slowly but surely. And you better get on board with it, like, because you're more organized. Guys are less organized. A lot of times more driven because you got something to prove. And so, how do you use that to your advantage in business and in all the businesses that you have?
Yeah, well, it's definitely a slap in the face. Fashion and beauty, that's fine, that's the norm. I would assume if it were, the flip, the men in that industry also agree with me that it's hard to break that norm. I think it's a little more easier, or it's a little easier for men, for example, gay men to go into the beauty world. I think it's a little more common nowadays. But whenever I watch, no hate to them, I absolutely love those videos. But the people who post, like women who post TikToks of them building, I actually saw a girl the other day, she's an electrician, and all of the comments were just, oh, that's so hot. Like, oh, are you married? It's honestly, it's disgusting. And I think the fact that it's a harder labor industry, or, the whole investing in that kind of realm, it's conceived as harder to get into, which I think is not true. I think that they just don't want us to get into it because it's good. But they try to scare us away with those sexist comments and all that kind of, negative stuff, which, it takes you down. For example, today I had a client who, I go out and do my own estimates, and, for the flooring company, I go out, I tell him exactly how it's going to be done. I tell him all the little nicks and knacks of the job. I'm not going to say I don't make mistakes. I'm learning as I go. But I specifically told him something about, if you want to continue your flooring, we're going to have to take up the existing flooring because vinyl plank doesn't click that way. And if you know about flooring, you know what
Yes.
I'm talking about. But he could not ingrain that into his brain. And he just goes, oh, well, I don't understand. Like, the other guys told me like they could do it. I was like, well, if they can do it, they're going to do a really booty job because they're going to do some type of, um, we call gambiarra in Brazil. It's like a DIY, really badly done job
Right.
just to kind of make do. And I try to explain to him. And then as soon as my installer goes on site and explains it to him, he goes, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. And I was like, interesting. I wonder what you were listening to this whole time. But it's a little discouraging at times. I'm not gonna lie. It really gets on my nerves because I'm very much pro feminism and all that good stuff. And I think coming from Brazil's a very, how do you say? I forget the word. Masculine, machismo. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
machismo. Yeah, because I've always heard Brazil is like sex, samba, and salsa. My buddy lived there, and he's like, in Brazil, it's all about the soccer, it's all about the dancing, and it's all about like sex, for whatever lack of a better term. That's what and I don't know. I've never been to Brazil, so I don't have
Mhm.
anything to base it on. Obviously, you have. So you're
Yeah,
saying it's very
I mean,
machismo?
it's a third world country. I think it's considered, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a third world country still. It's not like how people picture it out to be, uh, poor, destroyed cities and all that. They have their own issues. I'm not going to get into that because that's politics or whatever. But I think the biggest issue is that everyone has like an old mindset of thinking and they can't get past that. So it kind of fuels that machismo that comes from there. And so since I come from that kind of family, even internally, we kind of have that, you know, on my day to day. But when I get it from, clients, when clearly I've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years now, like, come on, man. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about. I just hired this guy, the installer, to come do the work. I've installed it too. Like, you can't tell me I haven't, because I have. I have my own flip houses. Who do you think who do you think does those? But it's just kind of hard to, like I said, change a, you know, I don't know how old my clients. They're pretty old. We live in a retirement community. So 60 years of thinking, it's just not going to happen, unfortunately. That's kind of how I go about it. My mom's a realtor, so I get the good numbers, the inside scoop, if you will. And my dad, he's a carpenter, so he knows how to do, oh, lumber prices went up, or oh, this happened, or the flooring industry where delay in shipping containers, blah blah blah. So I kind of get the best of both worlds. I am a little spoiled in that sense. But I would just say it's it really depends on what you're looking for, how much money you have, whether you have connections is a big one. For example, I don't really know anybody aside from my mom, who's been my business partner for the longest time. We don't really have a project together just yet, but we're hoping to start one up soon. Excuse me. So basically, I would just say invest in what you're comfortable with. Personally, me, I had the opportunity to do a mobile home. That was my first, technically my second project. I started building a tiny house, but I had to put a pause on that to remodel the mobile home because that was a little more important, if you will, to get that flip and get the money and get going with the next one. So, I started with that, and it just kind of fell into place. I always tell people if something's meant to be, it's going to happen. Like it did for me. I didn't seek out a mobile home to buy, or, an empty lot, or do this. It was actually funny. I saw a TikTok, and they were talking about something, tax deed sales for your county, blah, blah, blah. You can get cheap real estate. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Let me go look it up. Look it up, found the property, like I said, 5 minutes from my house. I go, oh, that's not bad. I have that money saved up, whatever. I was like, oh, I'll just go look at it, for in giggles. So
Right. Totally.
looked at it and I go, what am I doing with this money? Land appreciates. My bank account, my savings account does not. So, it just ended up to the point where I bought it, and didn't know what to do with it then. I could have flipped it and made a quick profit. And I was like, you know what? Let me put a house on it. And then, funny enough, I saw another TikTok, and it was somebody talking about buying used mobile homes. So as you
Right.
can see, TikTok is the clear is the clear motive to all of this.
Right.
So I did my research, looked it up. There were a lot of I will say I didn't do enough thorough research. I didn't know that there could have been liens on the property. They obviously warn you about that stuff, but I'm 20 years old, so I don't really think about those things, even though I should. But I learned really quick when I found a few issues that they got resolved, so everything's good now. But I will definitely say it gave me a jump scare. But now everything's all good. The house is there. My mom actually just had a showing for it while we're having this meeting, so all is
That's all.
good. But yeah, it was
So
something
hopefully,
like I said.
hopefully by the time this podcast airs, you'll have it under contract.
Oh, I
And
hope so.
so can we walk through the numbers? What'd you pay for the land? What'd you put into the property? And what do you anticipate it selling for? Obviously, we're not disclosing the location or anything like that, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely in the numbers, just so people can get inspired to see like how powerful real estate is and how much money you can make with the knowledge from, building, become an expert builder, and from somebody who knows how to source deals.
Yeah. I will say I'm not comfortable sharing that just yet. I will disclose that once the house sells, but for, like I said, privacy reasons, I'm not going to disclose that just yet until it is sold. But I will say it is supposed to be a margin of over 250%, which in real estate, I saw your eyebrows go up. It's, stupidly crazy, which it is. It was kind of just like an I got lucky scenario, and I played the right cards and that kind of stuff. Definitely kind of unheard of. I don't think I've ever seen somebody else get a 250% return on an investment in terms of real estate. I mean, I'm sure there is, but rare, I will say. So that's kind of that situation. But I will say one thing, it's definitely not an amount of money that you would think is crazy. I mean, I just came out of high school, had some money saved up. So it's not like, you know, getting a loan from a bank. I did everything all cash. I used the money I had saved up as the land purchase because it was an auction, so it has to be all cash, and to buy the house, which you can find them for relatively cheap. So my down payment, if you will, was the house and the land, and then everything that came after that, the plumbing, electricity, the actual renovations, the permitting, all that was kind of, I was working full time then. So, and I was making, I was working 3 jobs, so I was making quite a bit of money. So I would just pay off every month, everything as if it were like payments on the house. And so I didn't borrow money from anybody. I just kind of did it on my own. Took a year. So, I had to, fight there, to fight through it. But I will say, it's like I said, if somebody's looking into doing it, do your research, and it's really not, anything crazy, even though I'm not going to say any numbers, but it's reasonable.
Right on. That's cool. I'm excited for you. Hopefully it sells for the price that you want. You make a bunch of money and then you parlay that. I kind of catch myself doing the exact same things. I don't like to, as a, in the beginning, you got to borrow a lot, right? And then sometimes you need to borrow from what you already have to get access to capital. But I think that a lot of times when all these guys, especially on TikTok, they're talking about, I got $40 million worth of debt. I got $100 million worth of debt. It's like, that's great, guys. But have you guys seen bad times? Have you ever seen anything go wrong? And when you have all that debt and things go wrong, it's scary, but like, there's no pressure when you just got your own cash in the deal, other than you getting it out of the deal when you want it out. And so that's the incentive to work as fast as you want, is to get your cash out of the deal. So tell me, what part are you more passionate about? Are you more passionate about the cosmetic and the aesthetics? Or are you more passionate about the real estate, or do you see them kind of working together?
Working together is a long run. I think, it's that kind of creative spectrum. I think one day maybe I'll have an idea to make a crazy video that's probably going to go viral, because I've never seen anyone mix beauty and building. So it's unique. I definitely think I can make it into something in the future. I just think, I need more space and time to meditate and actually think out content ideas for all of that stuff. But for now, I would say it changes on the day to day. Like, for example, today's Wednesday. Technically, I'm supposed to be working on the tiny house right now. So today is a construction day. Yesterday was a filming day. So I was changing outfits in my room all day. So keeps me on my toes, I'm never in one place at the same time doing the one thing. One day I'm Tiffany the beauty guru. The next day I'm Tiffany the fashionista. The next day I'm Tiffany the tiny house builder. So you never know what you're going to get.
That's cool. Right on. So just a couple questions to wrap things up. So for your advice to like a young person out there who's trying to get started, or even somebody who's a little bit older, maybe like, set in their ways, and they're like, what the hell is this TikTok thing? What flipping houses? I think that you're totally inspiring, Tiffany, that you're like just willing to get out there and just try stuff. What advice would you have for young people out there who are afraid to lose money, who are scared to try something new, but complain about their situation as it is?
I think it's mindset. It's the biggest thing. And like I said, everything that comes out of my mouth sounds cliche, read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, do this, do that. It's it's just really your mindset. Like, I'm not going to list any examples, but basically you can spend your afternoon either playing video games all day, or you can spend your afternoon watching YouTube videos on how to, I don't know, repair a backsplash or something random, or, where to put your money, or, the stock market or whatever. It's just how you spend your time. It's that discipline, and it's that mindset. If you don't think you're capable of doing X thing, you're not going to get there, because it all kind of revolves around you. It gets into the spiritual side too, but I'm not going to get into that. But I think it just really depends on, like I said, it's really just your drive, your passion, how much you want it. And for people who are afraid to lose something, think of the worst possible scenario if you, quote unquote, were to lose everything in said scenario. For example, my mobile home has trees all around it. It's hurricane season. I don't have insurance on the house. So yeah, basically if the tree falls on the house, I'm out the house. The property is still worth something, and I still have money saved up. And all the and all the skills that I learned in the meantime. So, worst case scenario, you just kind of have to get up and keep going. It's not really the end of the world. And I know people are going to say, oh, that's privilege. You have a backup, and your parents can catch you if you fall and all this stuff. And that kind of goes into the mindset thing. I always say, worst case scenario, if I didn't have my parents, helping me, I have my own tiny house. It's not finished. I can live in it. There's a few leaks going on, but I can live in it, maybe not the right way, or I can rent out a house, or I don't know. You can always figure something else. People try to find more problems than there are solutions. And like I said, it all goes back to the mindset. So, just think about it like that. Me, my mobile home, if that tree fell, those kinds of things, there's really someone always has it worse. So just kind of put it on a balance, worst case scenario, best case scenario. Sounds cliche, but it's true.
That's awesome. Good advice there, Tiffany. So where can people find you if they're interested in following you? What are your handles on TikTok, on Instagram, all that jazz?
Yeah. So if you guys want to follow my series on building a tiny house and home remodel and financial advice, you guys can check out Beauty and a Builder. Sounds like how it spells on TikTok and on Instagram. And my fashion TikTok is Tiffxny. So it's TIIFFXNY. And I post daily fashion content on there, and occasionally a tiny house sneak peek and update.
Cool. Right on. So just to kind of summarize, one thing I wanted to let everybody know, if you guys haven't given Tiffany a 5-star review on this podcast, definitely make sure you do so. And definitely make sure you check her out on her socials and follow her journey. I can tell that she's very young right now. And just from, not from knowledge, but from just being in the world. And she's already got a lot more knowledge than people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s. And my last selfish question, just for myself, is how the hell did you learn 5 languages? And if somebody who's trying to learn Spanish, like myself, and not being very effective at it, obviously I know that there's some things that are on me, but is there any tips that you would give our audience and myself personally about how you can kind of speed up your language learning?
Discipline and mindset. I know I keep saying those two things, but it is so true. I mean, I was born speaking English. I mean, I wasn't born speaking, but you get what I'm saying. My family spoke Portuguese to me in the house and English at school. So those two I'm not going to count because they were kind of given to me. Spanish, I started in elementary school, all of middle school, I think 2 years in high school. I did Spanish as well. But Spanish and Portuguese are very, very similar. So I'm not even going to count those. Plus, I had Spanish friends. So, I was always just hearing it around, which I think is another great thing, living in a place or, surrounding yourself, even changing your phone's language to the language you're learning, that helps a lot, which is a stupid little tip a lot of people don't think about.
Right.
And then what's the other one? English, Portuguese, Spanish. There's only 4. And then French. My French is not very good. I took 2 years in high school and then I went to go live there. So it was getting better. And then I just kind of lost my discipline. And now it's gotten pretty shabby, but I definitely want to get back into it and hopefully learn some Italian as well. But it's just something, I enjoy. It's a mindset. It's like a puzzle, like I said, instead of spending your time watching Netflix all day, take that discipline, take that hour in your day and, go over your vocabulary or, but there's plenty of cool guides on YouTube that I think help a lot too.
Sweet. And one last question. You mentioned that you're from Brazil. One of the woods that I have a love affair with is a thing called ironwood, right? And ironwood, are you familiar with what ironwood is?
I am not. I'm actually not from Brazil. My family is, but I have gone there many times, but I've never heard. We're from the city, sort of city, but I've never heard of Ironwood.
Okay, cool. Well, then I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate all the questions that you answered. If there's anything that you want to leave our audience with, I would certainly love to hear your final words and just of encouragement and anything else that you want to say.
Like I said, go out and make a new schedule for your new you. Kind of treat it like the new year, start today like how you want to end, no, that's not the same. Hold on. Just start today like it's a new day and, add new things into your schedule. Don't overwhelm yourself, but add in new little things that'll make your life easier in the future.
That's great advice. I think that's really simple advice that if you follow it, it's going to get you very far. Sounds like you as a young woman in business are going to go very far. I can't wait to see what the next 10 years looks like for you and follow your journey on social media. And hopefully you don't ever go off there. And I'm looking forward to seeing that tiny house and all your cool developments going on. Thank you so much for, gracing us with your presence and sharing your time with us. I know that that's the most valuable commodity that you could ever give someone. So I really appreciate you sharing your time with us, Tiffany. And I appreciate you having, if you want to have Tiffany on again and you got some questions, make sure you comment below, make sure you subscribe to this video, make sure you share this video with any young women or any young people who are trying to get inspired. She's done so much in her short 20 years of life that I think that, like, learning 5 languages, doing all this real estate, having, almost 400,000 followers across all social medias is pretty impressive for somebody who's just 20 years old. And that's totally inspiring. And that's what we aim to do on this podcast, is inspire people to get started by taking action. And that's what you've done. So thanks for coming on the show, Tiffany. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed it.